Watch this.
It's Friday. You know what that means? It's time to end the week right here on the 208. Here's what we got for you. We've said it for weeks, and unfortunately, we'll keep saying it. There are a lot of wildfires burning across the state of Idaho. So many that our governor is stepping in with a new plan of attack. Speaking of plans of attack, parents are fighting for funding after the Department of Health and Welfare was forced to scale back a childcare budget. Now working parents are scrambling for financial aid, and Health and Welfare, they're scrambling for a new solution.
There's 33,000 museums in the United States, and I think mine's most important.
It's hard to find someone as passionate about cleaning as Pocatello's Museum of Clean founder Don Aslett. Sadly, Aslett passed this week. He won't be stopping by the museum to do his favorite chores, but his impressive legacy lives on there forever. Well, another week goes by in what has been a hot, smoke, and fire-filled time for Idahoans across the state. That's right, fires continue to burn across the state, and some spots are still in some pretty difficult spots. The Wapiti fire near scenic Stanley, Idaho, for example, a major fire. Just this morning, the Custer County Sheriff's Office announced some new evacuations there. Governor Brad Little hosted a press conference this morning in Boise on the wildfire situation. Basically at the same time, those evacuation notices were going out. And the press conference today from the governor, it wasn't a, yeah, wildfires are bad right now and we thought everybody should know. We know. Governor Little joined key state agencies unveiling a report with action items. They want to do something about this, and they've been developing this since 2023. And out of that extended work, the group work and studying all of this, they came with 10 recommendations that they presented today. And they have some related directives, things like collaboration with federal agencies, statewide notification and evacuation plans, fire detection camera systems around the state of Idaho, and developing a MOU, or a memo of understanding, which is basically a plan between firefighters at the local, state, and federal levels to make sure there's a comprehensive plan for them to coordinate and make sure they have mutual aid response, just to name a few of the 10. We've also learned, though, from Governor Little that there are practical challenges for things like staffing firefighters to battle all the fires around the state. Governor Little shared this insight.
We had a land board meeting this week, and the department made recommendations to the board, who will make recommendations to me on the budget for next year. We significantly increased firefighter salary. We have to be able to retain. We have to be able to recruit. Highly skilled, very capable firefighters, and it's just like, frankly, everywhere. Competition for skilled labor gets to be more and more, and that will be one of the issues.
Something that is also a part of this conversation with utilities was the work from Idaho Power recently to preemptively shut off power in areas that the power grid could have issues with the power lines. They could fall down, they could create more fires, more issues. And Governor Little said that there are major ideas to address that reality.
Well, that's interesting you'd ask, because yesterday I was visiting with Dr. Ed Schweitzer Engineering, and that Idaho Pullman, Washington-based company, they are the leaders in the world in what they call it falling conductors. Something happens when that hits the ground, it's cold. Now that's technology. It takes a while to embed into a system. That issue of turning off the power, they do it for a variety of reasons. Yellow Pine's a great example. That fire that's burning at Warm Lake right now, that transmission line is in great jeopardy. That community up there is in great jeopardy.
Governor Little and really all of Idaho's leadership and the involved agencies keeping a close eye on the situation that changes hour to hour. In 2023, Idaho lawmakers increased the level of funding the Department of Health and Welfare could use to provide working Idaho families with some financial relief for childcare. The Idaho Child Care Program, also known as the ICCP, is federally funded, and it's for working families that have children under 13 years old, as well as kids older than 13 if that kid has a disability. Prior to 2023, it funded at the 145% federal poverty line. Then it increased by lawmakers in 2023 to start funding at 175% federal poverty line. Ultimately, though, it allowed for a wider range of families to be eligible to apply and increase copay coverage. But the program is now over budget, forcing the department to scale back. This week, new policies went into effect, including decreases in coverage and a pause in taking applications for the program. Aspen Shumpert talked with the local daycare and lawmakers about the effect this will have.
It was a big shock to hear, a really big shock.
The owner of Little Peeps Daycare in Caldwell says she didn't have much time to process the email the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare sent to child care providers on Tuesday.
The changes that were coming, and it wasn't coming in months, it was coming in 2 days.
The department says they previously overshot what federal funding would cover, given the increased costs in child care, forcing quick changes for ICCP families.
The projection of the 25% increase due to market rate, and also the number of children or families accessing the program, that increased dramatically.
Effective on Thursday, Health and Welfare paused sign-ups for the ICCP program and said they'll hold off on paying higher rates to daycares until July 2025. The department says they faced a $15 million shortfall if they didn't act. Even so, Thursday's changes still put them at a $3 million shortfall, impacting an estimated 400 to 600 Idaho families who rely on the help.
It's hard for them. They are feeling overwhelmed. They are afraid that it's not going to cover enough. So this may crumble me as well, and not just families out there, but me as a provider.
Turnbow says she wishes there was funding from somewhere else that could help with the shortfall. Senator Janie Ward Engelking, who's also on the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee, says there is.
We have the ability to fix this problem with a supplemental in January sitting there that's to be used only for child care programs in some way or other.
She says it's called a foregone balance, and if lawmakers pass a supplemental levy, the first part of the upcoming legislative session, the one-time payment could cover the $3 million shortfall.
It could be used to help Idaho families this year, and then we address the problem and the program when we come back into session in January.
Per my discussions with Senator Ward Engelking, it sounds like the department director, Alex Adams, does not want to use one-time money for ongoing deficiencies that the department would need to address later on. Senator Ward Engelking says she does agree that there needs to be reevaluations to eligibility requirements, but that could be something that could be addressed in the legislative session. And like I said, Alex Adams may or may not want to use that one-time money. I know he's a new director and kind of dealing with some budget alignments that was kind of set before he was there.
Yeah, I will say the good news with Alex Adams now leading the Department of Health and Welfare. He was the governor's budget director. He's very familiar with JFAC. Mm-hmm. So if it isn't one-time spending, and we'll have to hear from Alex Adams on this when he's back in town, it would be interesting to see what ideas are out there to see how you could shift around money, not only for this child care issue, but we know from parents and from Idahoans across the state, child care is a big issue right now.
Yeah, it is, and there's wait lists going on, and we know there's a need for more child care in the state, so working through that is something we should keep an eye on.
And I can tell you that Director Adams, when we had him on Viewpoint recently, he said this is a priority to making sure that there's child care for young kids, and he's also taking a big look at the foster care system. So a lot of new things going on in health and welfare, but we'd love to hear from him on this.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Aspen, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so wildfires, yes, they're the talk of town, and they are causing more closures now in the Boise National Forest. But the community is rallying around our neighbors to help out with the new wildfire fund. Our Abby Davis has details and more 208 news and notes, like some fun things to do in today's 411.
Friends and family are mourning the loss of the owner and former CEO of Stinker Stores, Charlie Jones. He and Sean Davis bought the stores in 2002, and in 2012, Jones and his wife became the sole owners. The 106 stores have been operating for 88 years in Idaho, Colorado, and Wyoming. Boise National Forest is expanding closure on 2 spots of the Middle Fork complex, one near Grand Jean and the other east of Garden Valley. These areas include campgrounds such as the Hot Springs, Pine Flats, and the Deadwood Campground and its river access. The Danskin boat launch is also included. The Idaho Cattle Association's Wildlife Relief Fund is back. The association is taking donations for cattle producers affected by the fires this year. Ranchers can apply for relief until October 15th. Tonight on the News at 10, I talked to a rancher who got money a couple years ago about what it meant for his family. This Saturday, enjoy 3 free concerts as part of Meridian's concert series. Head to Meridian City Hall's Outdoor Plaza Saturday night to enjoy the music. The headliner will go on at 7. There are some seats in the amphitheater, but it's best to bring folding chairs and blankets. Also tomorrow, Latino Fest is returning to Boise after a 5-year hiatus. The event is at Cecil D. Andrus Park in front of the state capitol from 4 to 6. There will be a Zumba class, a dance contest, food trucks, and more. That's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Davis.
Cleaning is just fun. You get good exercise, you learn a lot, you meet a lot of people, it's refreshing, and you accomplish something, so it never has been work.
They say do what you love, and cleaning industry pioneer and founder of the Museum of Clean in Pocatello, he did what he loved his entire life. Sadly, he passed away this week, so we're looking back at his squeaky clean legacy. What's going on in your life? Tell us about it. What's on your mind? Questions, comments, concerns related to the show preferably. Text us at 208-321-5614. Please include your name so we can give you credit and hashtag the 208 so we know the message is for us. We will get to your live comments, as many as we can, live at the end of the show. Early Wednesday morning, we lost a local legacy, a legend, the founder of one of the most respected names in the cleaning service industry, Varsity Cleaner, the seller of many cleaning supplies and the author of 40 books about cleaning. Don Aslet's trailblazing entrepreneurship didn't end there. He also opened the Museum of Clean in Pocatello, Idaho. John Miller first introduced us to the master of mopping when he paid a visit to the museum in 1995.
All these little trinkets you have signify something that has to do with cleaning.
Pardon his bathroom humor, but Don Aslet has worn a lot of aprons in his day. Seems the cleaning king is also known as Don Juan of the John.
We're proud of what we do for a living.
Maybe Don's collection of bathroom cleaners has gone to his head. He's got them all from Congo cream wax to kitchen cleanser.
Oxidol.
Don's obsession with cleaning and toilets began swirling out of control back in his Boy Scout years.
That's a little baby toilet. That was this thing I used for my neckerchief. It really worked.
And Don really worked, cleaning his way through college.
Good exercise, a lot of fun, and paid my way through school.
And it paid off later as Don began taking his toilet trinkets to the big cities.
I've been on Oprah and Sally Jesse and Regis and CNN. I do a lot of national shows.
And wherever he goes...
You walk through airports with
Oh, yes. And, nobody... I wrote on it, fragile. If you drop it, it'll spill on you.
No problem if you're wearing the Mop Your Heart bra. Willie Mop Nelson can handle any spill. The mop on this handle's from the turn of the century.
Cleaning is the world's oldest profession.
A profession that's become an obsession for Don.
Here's kind of another unique broom. This is when you first got married, you bought this broom, and then when you got old, you had a cane, you know, when the broom wore out.
They're all worn out. Like old dinosaurs, these prehistoric picker-uppers are pretty much extinct.
That's a Packard vacuum.
You probably remember all the old names.
The first Electrolux.
If you're old enough, you might remember how they worked. Or didn't work.
Boy, you really had to vacuum to get anything done with that.
Don's more interested with the way they went.
And the bellow went. See that thing, how that goes in there? And you put your mop down and it went doing, 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 doing. This is what we call a Texas broom. I guess they did some tall sweeping in Texas.
It all makes you wonder how one guy could be so hung up on housework.
Cleaning is just fun. You get good exercise. You learn a lot. You meet a lot of people. It's refreshing. And you accomplish something. So it never has been work.
What has been work is collecting all 1,800 pieces.
Basically, our end goal is to have a Disneyland of cleaning museum where people come and buff and vacuum.
And maybe even go like this.
Nearly 30 years later, back in April of last year, we checked back in with Don Aslett, who created the museum that he dreamed about. But he had bigger dreams than just a museum and his successful business ideas.
My ultimate goal in my life was to sell the value of clean language, clean teeth. You start looking clean solves almost every problem in the world, Brian. And so that's what I'm doing. And it's been a fun. It's been really a fun thing to do.
To still love to clean, and you still love to go to the museum.
Every day I go to the museum every day and do tours. Yesterday I did about 10 tours. There's 33,000 museums in the United States, and I think mine's most important.
You can visit the Museum of Clean from Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's on South 2nd Avenue in Pocatello, Idaho. Aslett was 89 years old when he passed. A long life of loving what he did. A memorial service to celebrate his life will soon be announced. We'll be right back.
Isn't it great that we still get some opportunities for beautiful views amidst all the fire activity and wildfire smoke that we've had? And on that note, speaking of wildfires, we have additional high fire danger today that will linger all the way through tonight at 9 p.m. And you can see that those areas are highlighted in magenta. And so the reason why we are expecting the higher fire danger today is because we have some dry thunderstorms across the region fueled by a low pressure center that's creating more lift in the atmosphere and allowing those thunderstorms to form. And so on the backside of this system in particular, these larger features always will tell the weather story for us and really dictate what we will see. So on the backside of this system, we'll also see some cooler air. You can see those lighter colors, not these reds and oranges that we have right now. So our weekend is looking pretty mild, but we do have active weather at this very moment. Good news is that we have seen a bit of a dip in activity as some of those stronger storms continue to lift to the north. And we're getting a bit of a break from most of the wind that we've seen thus far in the past 2 hours or so. So that potential, again, continues to be for the stronger storms in eastern Oregon and areas north of McCall. As we switch to tomorrow, it's a little bit more of a showery pattern to start off with, so we can see some lighter showers in some of those mountain areas. And I don't think much of it will make it to the ground, but as we switch to the late morning hours for valley locations, I think we'll start to see some of those light showers actually make it to the ground. And then switching to the afternoon, when we get an evening, when we get that additional daytime heating going, we could see a stray thunderstorm or two across valley spots, higher confidence for some of those mountain areas tomorrow. But it should be a little bit less activity than what we're seeing today. Overall, we could see a couple showers on Sunday as well, but that looks to be toned down compared to today as well. So I talked about the fire weather warning, and you can see those areas highlighted again. So this includes much of southeastern Oregon, much of southwest Idaho, and portions of the Magic Valley. We also have an air quality alert in place because of the smoke that's lingering in the area. You can see that it does include a lot of those mountain spots, Boise Mountains and parts of the west central mountains and central mountains. That will stay in effect at least until Monday at 3 p.m. So let's take a closer look at the smoke now. Unfortunately, I got to tell you tonight, as we see this activity continue, I think the smoke will get pretty dense for some of those central mountain spots. But the southerly flow will keep a lot of that smoke more to the areas to the north, but it does look to be quite dense again by later tomorrow night. And overall, by Sunday, we see some of that starting to intrude some of those southern zones as well. But again, much of southeastern Oregon and southwest Idaho looking to be on the clearer side. So that's what the smoke looks like with our model data. Let's actually see what it looks like outside. You can see in Stanley, we started off with very clear skies. And now this afternoon, we're seeing more of that smoke move in. And at Tamarack, it was a different story. The morning we started off with more of the smoke shrouding the area, but then we got some clearing in the afternoon. But you can also see those fires burning actively in the background. So that will continue to be the dance, the back and forth that we continue to see with some of the wildfire smoke. The temperatures will help a little bit with the firefighting efforts because they're expected to be on the lower side for tomorrow, quite mild, in fact, for what we have seen, and some of the coolest temperatures we've seen since about June. So a bit of a break from the heat. We'll have a little bit more cloud cover tomorrow, and the lighter showers and stray thunderstorm or two. But because it's much cooler, it will be a first alert weather day. Overall, staying cooler throughout your weekend.
All right, let's get to some of your comments to end the show. This person says, hashtag the 208, childcare funding, use the rainy day fund to cover the shortage for now and work on correcting the problem. That is certainly one idea out there. Very possibly could happen. On to our next comment. If the comment-tron will work, it's going 2 at a time. 2 comments. First, how many programs for children, women, and young families are starved for funding with the Idaho legislature attempts to push through legislation that takes my tax dollars to pay for private schools? No, thank you. Second, with so much of Idaho in flames, Idahoans need to reflect on how this would affect our state in terms of dollars, equipment, and wildfire prevention. These are good points. A lot to think of in terms of the wildfire stuff going on. This person says childcare funding. Here we go. Okay, maybe our Republican-dominated legislature could show the same level of concern for postborn children as they do for preborn children. They need to fund the relief to parents so they can afford quality daycare for their children, from Lori. And then we did this one, so we'll go to the next one. It's Friday for the Machine, too. Okay, my great-grandson Malachi got his wish to go to the Clean Museum because he has a love for vacuums. It was a big thrill for him. That's Lynn in Nampa. I would actually love to go out to Pocatello to go see the Museum of Clean. I've driven by it, but I haven't got to go inside. There is so much to see in there, so I would love to see it. Also, real quickly, just to end the week, I want to say hello to Jack in Brooklyn, who are watching on the couch right now. Jack in Brooklyn, I hope you're having a great afternoon. Uncle Joe's on his way home to come hang out, so we'll hang out soon in a bit. But everyone, have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.